Okay, good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to call the regular Comox Valley Regional District Board meeting of Tuesday, June 27th, 2023 to order. I'd like to acknowledge that we're on the unceded traditional territory of the Comox First Nation, the original keepers of this land, and we are grateful for their past and present stewardship. And with recognition of territories, we also continue to educate ourselves on the calls to action from the Truth and Reconciliation Commission of Canada. Today we have call to action 26 and it's on justice. We call upon the federal, provincial, and territorial governments to review and amend their respective statutes of limitations to ensure that they conform to the principle that governments and other entities cannot rely on limitation defenses to defend their legal actions of historical abuse brought by Aboriginal people. And with that, we move to adoption of minutes from June 6th. Moved by Hillian, seconded by McCollum. Any discussion? It's a vote of the full board. All in favor? Any opposed? That's carried. And then minutes from June 15th, 16th. Moved by Greaves, seconded by Cole Hamilton. All in favor? Any opposed? That's carried unanimously. And we are on to business arising. We have the Beaufort Watershed Stewards. Moved by McCollum, seconded by Grant, and over to staff.
Thank you very much, Chair. Directors, I'd like to ask Mark Rutten, our General Manager of Engineering Services, to provide a brief update on this particular delegation. Mark.
Yeah, thank you through the CAO and through the chair. So this is a very brief update. We did, per the delegation's request, we did phone them after they presented to the board. We talked about our relationship with Mosaic and how we've cultivated that over the years and how we access the watershed for our work. We shared some of the key contacts that we have at Mosaic, and they were going to take that away and follow up.
I was just wondering, are we sharing our information that we have, any sort of LiDAR data or anything else with the Beaufort Watershed Stewards? No. Go ahead.
Yeah, not that I'm aware of, but I don't think that they've made that request, but I can follow up on that.
Okay, thank you. Because I think that was their request to Mosaic, was it not? That they were looking for data sharing?
I believe their primary request was looking for access, because they wanted to continue with the resistivity work that they were doing.
Okay.
Which did require access to both Crown land and private land.
Okay.
But like I said, we haven't been in, like, it hasn't been a three-party conversation. We just provided the contact information to Beaufort and they were to follow up.
Thank you. Director Arbor, go ahead.
Yeah, thanks. So basically we just refer them to people they already know, I think. Yeah, I just want to say, I think the board's response to Beaufort was really good. I think there was a really good discussion following their presentation. I think there's a lot of support for the work that they're doing. And I was really happy to hear everybody speak about the value of that work. So on my end, I really intend to continue to support them through community grants and otherwise. I think that the work they're doing is work that not a lot of people are doing, especially the upcoming work that we'll see this fall. I think they'll come and present on the watershed assessment of the entire Tsable River system and reminding the board that they are actually using ministry methodology to do that and then grading it. And I think there's differently shows a different narrative than what we sometimes hear from Mosaic. Thanks.
Thank you. I don't see any further lights. So we're actually not on receipt. That was just a follow-up. All right. Thanks, Mark.
There was a receipt motion.
Oh, there was a receipt motion. Okay. So all in favor? Any opposed? That's carried unanimously. And we're on to reports. And we have the Black Creek Oyster Bay Service Committee minutes from June 5th. Moved by Greaves, seconded by Grant. Any discussion of those minutes? I see we have Director Rice online. Welcome. All right, it's a vote of the full board. All in favor? Any opposed? That's carried unanimously, and there's a recommendation.
Second.
Moved by Grant, seconded by Moran. And so the board approved the proposed process as described within the staff report. And is there any further discussion on that? This is just a vote of area C and D. All in favor? That's unanimous. Thank you. And we're on to electoral area service committee minutes from June 5th.
Second.
Moved by Grant, seconded by Moran. And so both the full board, all in favor of those minutes? Any opposed? That's carried. And recommendation 1.
Move it.
Moved by Grieve, seconded by Grant, regarding development permit for Ingram. Any further discussion? These will be votes of the areas only. All in favor? That's unanimous. Thank you. On to recommendation 2. Moved by Grant, seconded by Cole Hamilton, regarding the approval of commercial industrial development permits for Coastal Sands Resort. It's for the areas. All in favor? And that's carried unanimously. We're on to recommendation 3. Moved by Grant, seconded by McCollum. And this is regarding an exemption for floodplain management on Clarkson Ave. Any further discussion? Again, of both the areas, all in favor? And that's carried unanimously. On to recommendation 4. Moved by Grant, seconded by Grieve. Again, approval of a development variance permit for Wilson Road. A vote of the areas, all in favor? That's carried unanimously. On to recommendation 5. Moved by Grant, seconded by Grieve. This is external agency referral. Any further discussion? Vote of the areas, all in favor? And that's unanimous. We're on to recommendation 6. Moved by Moran, seconded by Grant. And this is regarding public hearing. And that Director Grieve will be designated chair and Hardy and Arbor as first and second vice chairs. All in favor? That's unanimous. Thank you. On to recommendation 7. Moved by Grant, seconded by McCollum. And this is regarding a $10,000 contribution to the genomic environmental microbial source tracking. And Director Arbor, go ahead.
Yeah, thanks. For the interest of the board, this is a neat opportunity that I think was brought to staff through staff to better understand some of the sources and impact in our ocean and it's part of liquid waste management planning. And it's really good to see it. I'd like to say that because the South addendum is happening right now, there's a lot of discussion in the communities around. And one of the things that I hear is a lot of misconceptions that people in Royston and Union Bay might be the only ones that do something about norovirus and the rest of that. So just for the interest of the board, my line to the general public is, I want to highlight that obviously the municipalities continue to invest in their sewage treatment plant. And in the case of Cumberland, they're just put shovel in the ground because there's been a lot of history around the Trent River, and they're doing really innovative work around that. And that the regional district is also looking at septic regulation. So for my residents in Royston, Union Bay, yes, there's a need to do our part, but it's not just us; it's everybody in the region that is, I think, pulling together in the same direction right now. So thanks to staff for continuing that very important work on the research side.
Great, thanks for that background. Don't see any further lights. Again, it's a vote of the areas. All in favor? And that's unanimous. Thank you. On to recommendation 8. Grieve and Hillian, I think. That's that the board approve the process described in staff report around a comprehensive rate review for Royston, Union Bay, and Comox Valley Water Service. Any further discussion? This one is a vote of the full board. All in favor? Any opposed? That's carried unanimously. On to recommendation 9. Moved by Grant, seconded by McCollum. And support endorse the asset management program. And there's a grant amount for $50,000. This is a vote of the areas only. All in favor? That's unanimous. Thank you. On to recommendation 10.
Second.
Grant and Moran, thank you. And this is regarding the Leave Legacy program. And is there any further discussion?
This should be an all everybody vote.
Oh, and I'm informed that it is not just an area vote, that it should be a full board vote. So all in favor? Any opposed? That's carried unanimously. And we're on to item 3, the Comox Valley Sewage Commission minutes from June 6th. Moved by Hillian, seconded by Grant. Voting full board, all in favor? Any opposed? That's carried. Recommendation 1, moved by Hillian, seconded by Grant. That's the Severity enter into an agreement with Hornby Island Residents and Ratepayers Association. This regarding getting composting toilet residuals to our facility. And this is a vote of Area A, Courtney and Comox. All in favor? Any opposed? That's carried unanimously. And we are on to item 4, the Water Committee minutes from June 6th. Moved by Grant, seconded by McCollum. And any further discussion on Water Committee minutes? It is a vote of the full board. All in favor? And that's unanimous. Thank you. We're on to Regional Parks and Trails minutes from June 6th. Moved by Cole Hampton, seconded by Grant. And again, a vote of full board. All in favor? And that's unanimous. Thank you. And item 6 is our statement of financial information for 2022. Moved by Hillian, seconded by Grant. And the staff want to speak to Sophie report.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, I'm pleased to introduce Jennifer Nelson, Manager of Financial Operations. Jennifer will provide an overview of the staff report.
Yes, thank you through the chair to the directors. Today we have the 2022 Statement of Financial Information, also known as the SOFI, for your consideration. This is a legislated statutory report that needs to be approved by the board by June 30th of each year. So most of the report, you'll notice up to about page 36 of the report is the financial statements, which you have already seen and approved in May. So the only new information in the report is from pages 38 on, which includes remuneration and expenses for elected officials and staff, as well as payments to suppliers. I'll just leave it at that and open it up for questions. Thank you.
Great, thanks so much. Do you see a question, Director Arbor? Go ahead.
Yeah, thanks. It's good to see the healthy list of suppliers that the regional district has contracted in the past year. And I know 3 or 4 years ago, we joined the social procurement network. Can staff comment on whether the social procurement policies have had an impact with our contractors and how we deliver projects?
I think I may need to pass this one over to our Chief Financial Officer, Lucy. She's just going to come up here and speak.
Through the chair to Director Arbor's question. Don't know today that I can answer very specific questions around that. As you know, that language is in our procurement policy, and they do consider those things as we're going out for competition as well. We do have slated an update to that policy, which by the time fall rolls around, that will be back with one of our goals to actually enhance that language as well. And I can always ask our procurement manager to bring a fuller report on that if you would like.
Yeah, I might do that at a later date. Thank you. And
Okay.
just want to note, we're just short of 100 million in the supplier contracts in the last year. So definitely a huge player in the community in terms of our hiring of a lot of local firms as well.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Good.
Thanks, Lucy. Any further questions? Oh, Director Hillian, go ahead.
Thanks, Chair. I have a question in relation to the schedule of remuneration and expenses for employees, if it's appropriate. Appreciate that there's a number of variables in this, but there's reference to note 1, which describes the other column as retroactive pay, overtime, taxable benefits, and other forms of remuneration, which are not considered a part of an employee's base salary. So most of those amounts are relatively small, but there's one in particular that is more than half of the individual's base salary. And I'm just wondering if there's some exceptional circumstance that accounts for that.
Yes, thank you for the question. So we've also included overtime in that column this year so that we could break that away from the employee's base salary. So those ones where you see the significant amount, there could be related to specific employees who potentially work at the water treatment plant or liquid waste treatment, where they may be called outside of hours and have additional overtime attached to their salary as well.
Thanks. Would there be some exceptional circumstance that would result in an employee earning overtime that amounts to half of their base, or more than half of their base salary? It seems a lot. I mean, I don't know what the working circumstances are at the water treatment plant, but maybe we had somebody doing double duty for a chunk of time. It's just a curiosity, and I'm not suggesting there's anything wrong with it, but it would be good to know.
If I could just add to what Jennifer has contributed, and further to that where you're seeing the high levels of overtime, in these cases, it was a matter of filling where we have existing vacancies that were there in staff. So not necessarily related to potentially more work in the field or breaks, but more from the perspective of covering for our vacancies. And we can also provide further detail if there's anyone in particular that you want to know a bit more about. Our GMs are here that can provide further detail if you'd like.
Okay, well, I'll remain a little bit curious because I mean, I appreciate that people can build up a lot of extra cash on overtime. But yeah, or over half of your base salary, it seems like you'd have to be working an awful lot to do that. But thanks for the explanation.
I can add just a little bit, and if needed, Mark Rutten could join as well. And a lot of, yes, that is exceptional, and a lot of that is related to the commissioning of the water treatment plant itself. So I'm not sure, Mark, if you wanted to expand on that at all, or if that's sufficient. Director Hillian, a lot of it is related to that commissioning of the treatment plant. Yeah, okay.
Thank you. Okay, I don't see any further lights, and we're on receipt. It's a vote of the full board. All in favor? Any opposed? That's carried unanimously. Thank you so much for the presentation. There's a recommendation there. Second. Moved by Grant and seconded by Moran, and that's that the 2022 Statement of Financial Information for the CVRD be adopted. It's a vote of full board. All in favor? Any opposed? That's carried unanimously. Okay, we're on to item 7, Director Annual Activity Reports. Moved by Cole Hamilton, seconded by Grant. And you have the reports there in electronic form. Oh, there is a question. Director Hillian, go ahead.
Thanks, Chair. I noticed that I must have missed this, and which I think is the first time since I've been on this board. I'm not sure whether it's a significant source of embarrassment or not, as a number of other directors have missed it too and haven't ever said anything about it. But I'm just wondering if it's too late to actually have something included if one does feel that stain on one's reputation.
Never too late. We can follow up with you after, and this can come to a subsequent meeting. That would be fine.
Teresa did want me to let the board know that this is just the list of our committee appointments and such, and that there'll be another opportunity for us to talk about give everyone an update on what those appointments entailed at a later point in the year. So there's still that opportunity. Okay. And so we're on receipts. All in favor? Any opposed? That's carried unanimously. Thank you. We're on to bylaws and resolutions already. For first, second, and third reading, we have bylaw number 768, the Regional Parks and Trail Service Future Expenditure Reserve Fund Establishment Bylaw.
Second.
Moved by Arbor, seconded by Grieve for first and second. It's a vote of the full board. Oh, sorry, there's a question. Director Hillian, go ahead.
Thanks, Chair. There's a note on the agenda that the manager of financial planning will introduce. Are we missing anything by that not happening?
Kevin was going to introduce all 14 of these bylaws are reserve fund establishment bylaws, I believe, and Kevin was going to provide some context around why they're all here and what the nature of that is. So Kevin, if you wanted to absolutely, yeah.
Thank you through the chair to directors. No, I'll keep this brief. I won't spend 10 minutes of bylaw. No, just wanted to kind of give you some context. So of course, with the 2023-2027 bylaw or budget bylaw now adopted, within those various budgets, there were a number of reserves identified for being established this year. So this is just a bit of a housekeeping item, bringing all of these back now formally for your consideration. 7 of these actually are tied to our small little street lighting services. And this is really to bring those 7 services in line with the 5 others that already have operational reserves established for them. Most of the others, such as regional parks, were identified as part of the establishment of that service. Along with the internal cost of carbon policy, that policy was adopted by the board this year, and with that, the establishment of a reserve, and there are a number of contributions outlined in the financial plan for that. And then, of course, the 2 reserves for Graham Lake water, those are really driven by the conversion of that improvement district at the beginning of this year over to a regional district service. So we are just providing the mechanisms for the contributions that came over from that former improvement district over to the regional district and making sure we can flow those accordingly. And then lastly, the search and rescue, of course, there was a contributions outlined over the next 5 years to support their effort in securing a new facility. So we are contributing dollars in our reserve, and there hasn't been a reserve in that service to this point. So we're just establishing that reserve so we have a place to locate those funds.
Great. Thanks for indulging us there, Kevin. So we'll go back. We are on first and second reading for the Regional Parks and Trails Service Future Expenditure Reserve Bylaw. And it's been first and seconded. We are just about to vote. And this voted full board. All in favor? And that's unanimous. Thank you. Third reading moved by Grieve, seconded by McCullum. Again, vote the full board. All in favor? And that's unanimous. Thank you. And we're on to item 3, which is bylaw 770, internal cost of carbon. Oh, sorry, no. Right, we skipped ahead. We're only on item 2, bylaw 769, Regional Parks and Trail Service Capital Reserve Fund Establishment Bylaw. Moved by Arbor, seconded by McCullum for first and second reading. And so vote the full board. All in favor? Any opposed? That's carried unanimously. Arbor and Cole Hamilton move third. And it's a vote full board. All in favor? Any opposed? That's carried unanimously. Okay, now we're on to the internal cost of carbon reserve fund establishment bylaw 770. Moved by McCullum, seconded by Grant for first and second reading. And vote of full board. All in favor? Any opposed? That's carried unanimously. Grant and Hillian move third reading. All in favor? Any opposed? That's carried unanimously. We're on to item 4, bylaw 771, Graham Lake Local Water Service Future Expenditure Reserve Fund Establishment. Second. Moved by Grieve, seconded by Moran. And to vote the full board for first and second reading. All in favor? Any opposed? That's carried. Second. Grant and Moran move third. All in favor? Any opposed? That's carried. And we're on to bylaw 772. Graham Lake Local Water Service Capital Reserve Fund Establishment. Moved by McCollum, seconded by Hillian, and that's for first and second reading. A vote of the full board. All in favor? Any opposed? That's carried unanimously. Third reading moved by Moran, seconded by Cole Hamilton. All in favor? Any opposed? That's carried. And we're on to item 6, bylaw 773, the Comox Valley Search and Rescue Grant and Aid Service Future Expenditure Reserve Fund Establishment Bylaw. Moved by Hillian, seconded by Grant for first and second reading. It's a vote of full board. All in favor? Any opposed? That's carried unanimously. Director Grieve and Moran moving third. All in favor? Any opposed? That's carried unanimously. On to item 7, bylaw 774, the Mount Washington Resort Community Fire Protection Service Capital Reserve Fund Establishment. Moved by Grant, seconded by McCollum. And again, it's for first and second reading. All in favor? Any opposed? That's carried. Moved third by Cole Hamilton, seconded by Grieve. And all in favor? And that's carried unanimously. And we're on to item 8, bylaw 775, Arden Street Lighting Service Future Expenditure Reserve. Moved by Hillian, seconded by Grant for first and second reading. All in favor? Any opposed? That's carried unanimously. And third reading moved by Grant, seconded by McCollum. All in favor? Any opposed? That's carried unanimously. We're on to item 9, bylaw 776, the Webb Food Street Lighting Service Future Expenditure Reserve. Moved by Grant, seconded by McCollum for first and second reading. All in favor? Any opposed? That's carried unanimously. Third reading moved by Grant, moved by Grieve, seconded by Grant. All in favor? And again, that's carried unanimously. We're on to item 10, or no, yes, 10. Bylaw number 777, the McCleary Road Streetlight Service Future Expenditure Reserve. Moved by Grant, seconded by Cole Hamilton for first and second reading. All in favor? And that's carried unanimously. Third reading moved by Grant, seconded by Cole Hamilton. All in favor? And that's carried unanimously. We're on to item 11, which is bylaw 778, the Fern Road Street Lighting. Moved by Grant, seconded by Moran for first and second reading. All in favor? And that's carried unanimously. Third reading moved by McCollum, seconded by Grant. All in favor? And again, that's carried unanimously. We're on to item 12, bylaw number 779, Hastings Road Street Lighting. Moved by Grant, seconded by Cole Hamilton. For first and second reading. All in favor? And that's carried unanimously. Hillian and Moran on third reading. All in favor? Any opposed? That's carried unanimously. And we're on to item 13, bylaw 780, Denman Island Street Lighting Service. Moved by Grieve, seconded by Grant for first and second reading. All in favor? Any opposed? That's carried unanimously. Moved by Grant, seconded by McCollum for third reading. All in favor? Okay, that's carried unanimously. And we are on to item 14, bylaw number 781, Comox Road Street Lighting Service. Moved by Grant, seconded by Hillian for first and second reading. All in favor? That's unanimous. And for third reading, Hillian and Grant, thank you. All in favor? Again, that's unanimous. Thank you. And we actually have to go back to the beginning to move our in-camera motion. Moved by Hillian, second by Grant, and that's that we move in camera according to section 91A, 1C, 1E, 1F, 1G, 1I, 1K, 1L, and 2B under the community charter. All in favor? Any opposed? That's carried. Thank you. And we will move in camera.